Alright, let's dive into something that's been making waves in the tech and political spheres lately: Australia's news bargaining incentive. Now, on the surface, it sounds like a straightforward policy. Tech giants should pay local media for the news content that appears on their platforms. But personally, I think this is where things get really interesting. What many people don't realize is that this isn't just about money, it's about power, sovereignty, and the future of journalism. Australia is essentially saying, we're not going to let big tech profit off our news without giving something back. And that's a bold move, especially when you consider the global implications. Here's the deal: the Albanese government wants to raise up to $250 million from tech companies, mostly American ones like Meta and Google, to fund local journalism. Now, the latest changes to the policy have narrowed the taxable base to digital advertising revenue earned in Australia, but they've also increased the levy to 2.5%. What this really suggests is that Australia is trying to strike a balance between fairness and practicality. But here's where it gets messy: the US isn't having it. The Trump administration has labeled this policy as extortion, and that's a strong word. From my perspective, this isn't just a trade dispute, it's a clash of ideologies. The US sees this as an attack on its tech giants, while Australia sees it as a way to protect its media industry. One thing that immediately stands out is the reaction from tech companies and their lobby groups. The Computer and Communications Industry Association, which includes Meta and Google, called the changes cosmetic. But let's be real: if these changes were truly cosmetic, why are they fighting so hard against them? In my opinion, this is a classic case of big tech trying to maintain its dominance. They don't want to set a precedent where countries can demand payment for content that drives traffic to their platforms. And honestly, I get it. If every country starts doing this, it could significantly cut into their profits. But here's the flip side: journalism is in crisis, and local media outlets are struggling to survive. If you take a step back and think about it, this policy could be a lifeline for them. What makes this even more fascinating is the broader context. The US has been taking a hard line against digital services taxes globally, particularly in Europe. So, Australia's move feels like a direct challenge to that stance. This raises a deeper question: can smaller countries push back against the economic might of the US? Prime Minister Albanese seems to think so. He's been pretty clear that Australia will make decisions based on its own national interest, regardless of pushback from the White House. That kind of sovereignty is rare in today's globalized world, and it's worth paying attention to. Now, let's talk about the companies involved. Meta and Google have been tight-lipped about the latest version of the policy, but their representatives in Washington are clearly unhappy. Microsoft, on the other hand, has taken a more diplomatic approach, saying they're committed to constructive engagement. A detail I find fascinating is how differently these companies are handling the situation. It's almost like a case study in corporate strategy. Meta and Google are betting on political pressure from the US government, while Microsoft is trying to play the long game by building goodwill. But here's the bigger picture: this isn't just about Australia or the US. It's about the global balance of power in the digital age. If Australia succeeds, it could inspire other countries to take similar action. And that's what big tech is really afraid of. Personally, I think this is a moment that could redefine how we think about the relationship between technology, media, and government. It's not just a policy, it's a statement. And whether you agree with it or not, it's a conversation we need to have. So, what do you think? Is Australia's news bargaining incentive a fair move, or is it overstepping? Let me know in the comments. And if you take a step back and think about it, this isn't just about money or taxes, it's about who gets to shape the future of information. That's a question worth pondering.